In the span of 11 hours, from 8:42 p.m. to 7:51 a.m., Israel was struck by 6 separate waves of Iranian missile attacks. 6 waves. Not 6 missiles. 6 coordinated, sequenced, deliberately timed barrages, each designed to arrive just as the damage from the previous wave was being assessed, just as ambulances were reaching casualties, just as bomb disposal teams were beginning to sweep for unexploded ordnance. The timing was not random. It was engineered. Iran did not just attack Israel last night. Iran attacked Israel's ability to recover from being attacked. And embedded in 3 of those 6 waves was a payload that has transformed the streets of Tel Aviv from a city under bombardment into a city that is now, in the most literal sense of the word, a minefield. Cluster munitions. Hundreds of submunitions scattered across residential neighborhoods, commercial districts, parks, and schoolyards. Some detonated on impact, many did not. And the ones that did not are still out there this morning, sitting on sidewalks under parked cars and gardens where children played 24 hours ago. Tel Aviv is not just damaged, Tel Aviv is contaminated. And cleaning a city of unexploded bomblets is not a task measured in hours or days. It is measured in months, sometimes years, sometimes decades. Let me walk you through each of the 6 waves, because understanding the sequence is understanding the strategy. Iran was not firing randomly into the night. Every wave had a purpose. Every interval between waves was calculated. This was a military operation designed with the precision of a surgical procedure, except the patient was a city of 4 million people. Wave 1 launched at 8:42 p.m., 5 K-bar Shekhan ballistic missiles fired from mobile launchers in western Iran. All 5 carried conventional high explosive warheads, no cluster munitions. This was the opening punch, designed to activate Israeli air defenses, force Arrow and David's sling batteries to reveal their positions through their radar emissions, and deplete a portion of the interceptor stockpile. Israel engaged all 5 missiles. 3 were intercepted successfully. 2 penetrated defenses and struck the outskirts of Rishon LeZion, south of Tel Aviv. 1 hit a commercial parking structure. The other struck a road intersection, cratering the pavement and shattering windows in a 400-meter radius. 4 civilians were injured. No fatalities in Wave 1. But Wave 1 was not meant to kill. It was meant to prepare the battlefield for what came next. Wave 2 launched at 10:15 p.m., 93 minutes after Wave 1. 7 missiles this time. 4 K-bar Shekhan and 3 Imad variants. The warhead configuration was mixed. 3 carried conventional explosives. 4 carried cluster munitions. This was the first delivery of submunitions into the Tel Aviv metropolitan area during last night's attack. Israeli defenses engaged all 7. 5 were intercepted. 2 got through. 1 conventional warhead struck an empty lot near Bat Yam, causing structural damage to adjacent buildings but no casualties. 1 cluster munition warhead was intercepted at low altitude, approximately 3,000 meters above central Tel Aviv. The interception destroyed the missile body, but the warhead had already begun dispersing its submunitions. Approximately 20 bomblets scattered across a 600-meter area in the Florentine neighborhood of South Tel Aviv. Florentine is one of the most densely populated neighborhoods in Israel. Narrow streets, low-rise apartment buildings, bars, restaurants, and shops that, under normal circumstances, would be filled with people on a Thursday evening. Last night, most residents were in shelters, but not all. 3 people who were moving between buildings when the bomblets fell were injured. 1, a 34-year-old woman, suffered shrapnel wounds to her legs and abdomen. She is in serious condition at Ichlov Hospital. Wave 3 launched at 11:48 p.m. This wave was different. Instead of ballistic missiles, Iran launched 18 Shahed 136 one-way attack drones from positions in western Iraq. The drones flew a low-altitude route across Jordanian airspace, maintaining an altitude of approximately 200 meters to avoid early detection. Their flight time to Israeli territory was approximately 3.5 hours, meaning they had been launched before Wave 1 even hit. Iran had pre-planned the drone wave to arrive in the gap between missile barrages, forcing Israeli air defenses to shift from ballistic missile interception to drone engagement. This is the definition of combined arms warfare. Different weapon systems, different flight profiles, different speeds, different altitudes, all converging on the same target within a compressed time frame. Israeli F-35s and air defense batteries engaged the drone swarm over the Jordan Valley. 14 of the 18 drones were destroyed before reaching populated areas. 4 got through. 2 struck open areas, causing minimal damage. 1 hit a water treatment facility near Netanya, disrupting water service to approximately 40,000 residents. 1 struck a power transmission substation east of Tel Aviv, causing blackouts across 3 neighborhoods that lasted more than 4 hours. No casualties from Wave 3, but the infrastructure damage was precisely targeted: water and electricity, the systems that civilians need to survive a sustained bombardment. Wave 4 launched at 1:33 a.m. 8 K-bar Shekhan missiles. All 8 carried cluster munition warheads. This was the heaviest cluster munition delivery of the night. Iran was no longer mixing conventional and cluster payloads. Wave 4 was pure cluster, pure contamination. Israel intercepted 5. 3 got through. And those 3 missiles scattered their submunitions across an area that bomb disposal experts are now describing as the largest single contamination event in Israeli history. The first cluster warhead dispersed over the Sarona Market District, a mixed commercial and residential area in central Tel Aviv. Approximately 25 bomblets scattered across streets, rooftops, and the outdoor dining areas of restaurants that have been closed since the war began. The second dispersed over Jaffa, the ancient port district in southern Tel Aviv. Bomblets landed on the narrow stone streets of the old city, in the courtyards of residential buildings, and on the grounds of a mosque. The third dispersed over Holon, a city of 200,000 people immediately south of Tel Aviv. Bomblets fell in residential streets, in parking lots, and in the playground of an elementary school that has been closed, but whose grounds have not been secured. Israeli bomb disposal teams responded immediately, but responding to 3 simultaneous contamination zones in the dark, under the threat of additional incoming missiles, is not a task that can be completed in hours. By dawn, disposal teams had located and neutralized 34 bomblets. Their estimate of total bomblets dispersed across the 3 zones is approximately 75 to 90. That means somewhere between 40 and 56 unexploded submunitions are still sitting in the streets of Tel Aviv this morning, each one containing 2.5 kilograms of high explosive, each one capable of killing anyone who touches it, steps on it, or drives over it. Wave 5 launched at 3:17 a.m. This wave targeted Israel's response infrastructure. 6 EMAD missiles aimed not at population centers, but at military and emergency service facilities. 2 targeted Hatzor Air Base in southern Israel. 1 was intercepted. 1 struck a maintenance hangar, damaging 2 F-16 fighter jets that were undergoing repair. Neither aircraft was operational, but the damage to the maintenance facility will delay repairs to other aircraft in the queue. 2 missiles targeted the Kiryat, Israel's military headquarters compound in central Tel Aviv. Both were intercepted by David's sling batteries positioned specifically to protect the facility. The final 2 missiles targeted emergency service staging areas in the greater Tel Aviv area. 1 was intercepted. 1 struck a parking area where Magen David Adam ambulances were staged for rapid deployment. 3 ambulances were destroyed. 1 paramedic was killed. A 28-year-old emergency medical technician named Yael, who had been working 18-hour shifts since the war began, loading wounded civilians into ambulances and driving them to hospitals that are running out of beds. She survived 9 days of war. She did not survive Wave 5. Wave 6 launched at 7:33 a.m. dawn. This was the cruelest wave of all. Not because of its size, it consisted of only 4 missiles. Not because of its warhead type, 2 conventional, 2 cluster, but because of its timing. 7:33 a.m. is the time when Israelis who spent the night in shelters begin to emerge. It is the time when people check on their homes, their cars, their neighborhoods. It is the time when bomb disposal teams are most active in the streets, searching for the unexploded submunitions from overnight attacks. Iran timed Wave 6 to catch people in the open. The 2 conventional warheads struck areas already damaged by previous waves, compounding destruction in Rishon LeZion and Bat Yam. The 2 cluster warheads dispersed over new areas of Tel Aviv, 1 over the Rothschild Boulevard district, one of the most iconic streets in the city, and 1 over Ramat Gan, the business district home to Israel's Diamond Exchange and dozens of high-rise office buildings that stand empty because no one will work in a building that cannot be reached before a missile arrives. Let me give you the total numbers from last night because the cumulative toll of 6 waves tells a story that individual wave reports cannot capture. Total missiles launched across 6 waves, 30 ballistic missiles, plus 18 drones, 48 weapons total. Ballistic missiles intercepted 19 out of 30, a 63% interception rate. Drones intercepted 14 out of 18, a 78% interception rate. Ballistic missiles that penetrated defenses 11. Cluster munition warheads that dispersed over populated areas, at least 7. Estimated total submunitions scattered, 150 to 200. Submunitions located and neutralized by dawn, 34. Submunitions still unaccounted for, estimated 116 to 166. Civilians killed 6. Civilians injured, 47. Emergency responders killed, 1. Military personnel injured, 8. Aircraft damaged, 2. Ambulances destroyed, 3. Power disrupted to 3 neighborhoods. Water disrupted to 40,000 residents. Now let me explain why the 6-wave strategy is fundamentally different from anything Israel has faced before, because the sequencing itself is a weapon. In previous conflicts, Iran launched missiles in concentrated barrages, all missiles fired within minutes of each other. This approach is easier to defend against because defense systems only need to be at peak readiness for a short window. Once the barrage ends, crews can rest, systems can recalibrate, and damaged equipment can be repaired. The 6-wave approach eliminates all of that. 11 hours of sustained attack means 11 hours during which every air defense battery must remain fully operational, every radar must stay active, every crew must stay alert, every interceptor must be ready to fire. Human beings cannot maintain peak cognitive performance for 11 consecutive hours. Radar systems generate heat and require cooling cycles. Interceptor loading crews become fatigued. Decision-making degrades. Error rates increase. By Wave 6, the defenders are not the same people they were during Wave 1. They are exhausted, stressed, operating on adrenaline rather than training. And that is exactly when Iran sends cluster munitions into the dawn sky, timing them to exploit the moment when human performance is at its lowest. This is what military doctrine calls tempo warfare, controlling the rhythm of a conflict to exhaust the enemy's ability to respond. Iran is not trying to overwhelm Israeli defenses in a single moment. It is trying to grind them down over time, wave after wave, hour after hour, forcing the system to stay at maximum capacity until capacity itself becomes the casualty. Let me walk you through what Tel Aviv looks like this morning, because the city that wakes up after 6 waves of attack is not the city that existed yesterday. Streets that were already scarred by previous nights of bombing are now littered with new craters, new debris, new shattered glass. But the craters and the glass are not what people are afraid of this morning. They are afraid of the things they cannot see, the bomblets, the submunitions from cluster warheads that landed somewhere in their neighborhood during the night and have not yet been found. The Israeli Home Front Command has issued emergency guidelines that read like instructions for navigating a minefield. Do not touch any unfamiliar objects. Do not pick up anything from the ground. Do not allow children outside. Do not walk on grass or unpaved surfaces. Report any suspicious objects immediately. Stay on paved roads and walkways. Avoid areas with visible blast damage. These are instructions for a population that is being asked to live in a city that has been seeded with explosives. Not a battlefield, a city, a place with coffee shops and bus stops and kindergartens. And somewhere between those coffee shops and bus stops and kindergartens, there are between 116 and 166 explosive devices waiting to be disturbed. Let me connect this to money because the economic destruction of 6 waves extends far beyond the physical damage. The Tel Aviv Stock Exchange did not open this morning. For the 4th time since this war began, trading was suspended due to security conditions. When it last traded, the benchmark TA35 index had fallen 23% from its pre-war level. 23% of market value erased. International insurance companies have reclassified Tel Aviv as an active conflict zone. The same designation applied to cities in Syria and Yemen. That reclassification means commercial insurance premiums for businesses operating in Tel Aviv have increased by 400 to 600%. Many insurers have simply withdrawn coverage entirely. A business that cannot insure its inventory, its property, or its employees cannot operate. The cluster munition contamination adds a new dimension to the insurance crisis. Properties in contamination zones cannot be occupied until bomb disposal teams certify them as clear. That certification process could take weeks for individual buildings and months for entire neighborhoods. During that period, the properties generate no revenue. Mortgages still need to be paid. Employees still need to be compensated or terminated. The economic damage is compounding daily, and each new wave of cluster munitions adds another layer of contamination that extends the timeline for recovery. Ben Gurion International Airport remains open, but operating at less than 15% capacity. Only 3 airlines continue to fly into Tel Aviv, down from 97 before the war. Tourism revenue, which contributed approximately $7 billion to Israel's economy annually, has dropped to effectively zero. The tech sector, Israel's economic crown jewel, is hemorrhaging talent as skilled workers relocate to offices in Europe and the United States. Every day this war continues, Israel's economic foundation erodes further, and the cluster munitions ensure that even when the war eventually ends, the economic recovery will be delayed by the months or years required to decontaminate the affected areas. Let me tell you what comes next, because Iran has established a pattern, and that pattern tells you what tomorrow night will look like. The 6-wave strategy was not improvised. It was refined over the course of this war. Early attacks used single waves, then double waves. Now 6 waves spread across 11 hours. The progression suggests that Iran is systematically testing and expanding its attack methodology, learning from each night's results, adjusting timing and warhead configurations based on observed Israeli defensive responses. Tomorrow night will likely bring 7 waves, or 6 waves with a higher proportion of cluster munitions, or waves timed even more aggressively, with shorter intervals designed to further compress Israel's response capability. The trajectory is clear. More waves, more cluster munitions, more contamination, more exhaustion for defenders, more danger for civilians. Here is what I need you to understand. 6 waves of attack over 11 hours, 48 weapons launched, 11 ballistic missiles penetrated defenses, 7 cluster warheads dispersed over populated areas, between 150 and 200 submunitions scattered across Tel Aviv and surrounding cities. Only 34 found and neutralized by dawn. Between 116 and 166 still sitting in streets, parks, rooftops, and schoolyards. 6 civilians dead. 47 injured. 1 paramedic killed while trying to save others. 2 fighter jets damaged, 3 ambulances destroyed, power and water disrupted. The stock exchange closed, insurance premiums up 600%. And somewhere in the Florentine neighborhood, in the old streets of Jaffa, in the playground of a school in Holland, there are small metal objects containing 2.5 kilograms of explosive each, waiting for someone to find them, waiting for a child to pick one up, waiting for a car to drive over one, waiting. Mainstream media is reporting this as another night of missile attacks. They are showing you the same footage of interceptions lighting up the sky that they have shown every night for 2 weeks. They are not explaining what 6 waves over 11 hours does to the human beings operating defense systems. They're not telling you that 116 to 166 unexploded bomblets are sitting in the streets of a city of 4 million people this morning. They are not interviewing the bomb disposal technician who has been crawling through dark streets for 9 hours searching for objects designed to kill him. They are not connecting cluster munitions on school playgrounds to the insurance premiums that will bankrupt small businesses. They are not showing you the 28-year-old paramedic who died in Wave 5 because they have already moved on to the next headline. The story they are telling is about a conflict. The story I just told you is about a city that is slowly being made uninhabitable, not by a single catastrophic strike, but by the patient, methodical, wave-by-wave seeding of its streets with weapons that keep killing long after the sirens stop. Both stories are true, but only one of them explains why the people of Tel Aviv are not just afraid of the next missile. They are afraid of the ground beneath their feet. Subscribe to War and Money Report. We deliver daily intelligence briefings that go beyond the explosions, connecting weapon-by-weapon analysis to economic consequences, military tactics to civilian survival, and the bombs that fall from the sky to the bomblets that remain in the streets long after the cameras leave. Hit the notification bell because tonight there will be more waves, and tomorrow morning there will be more bomblets that no one has found yet. This war is not just destroying buildings, it is contaminating a city, and contamination does not end when the ceasefire begins. It ends when the last bomblet is found. And no one knows when that will be.